Hey, it's David from Freedom Founders. Ever wonder why some people seem to do well financially? I don't mean just in their business, but with their investments. They seem to do well whether the market's up or down or going sideways. Why is that? Well, for one, I don't know many people that do that well on a consistent basis in the stock market or on Wall Street. But what I do know is there's a lot of people who do well in real estate, whether the market's up or down, or as I said a minute ago, just going kind of sideways, kind of flat. And actually, people that do well in real estate do even best when the market is down. So back in 2008, when we had the financial and housing crash, a lot of us were put ourselves into a position and had the network and relationships that we could go out in the marketplace and buy a lot of assets, real estate assets on sale, major on sale. Now that was back in 2009, 10, 11, and 12. 12 being usually about the bottom of the market in most geographical areas. Since then, the market has turned back up in the last 5 years. In most areas of the country, not all, but most, the price valuations have gone back up to where they were pre-downturn, and actually in many cases, like here in North Texas, have exceeded where the valuations were back prior to the last downturn. So how is it that we know how to do that? Well, we don't have a magic crystal ball, but we do have a way to keep our finger on the pulse of the markets. And being part of a network and a lot of mastermind groups that I'm a part of in real estate and finance is I have the opportunity to speak to a lot of other people who actually are boots on the ground in their operations in different locales. I don't just depend upon the media or the Wall Street Journal or the Investors Business Daily Journal. Oftentimes that market research is lagging. It's historical, even by a few weeks or so. It can be past tense enough that where you can't make good decisions. Now I like to know what's happening on the street. And the nice thing about real estate is it does not fluctuate dramatically like the stock market can. Even in the greatest downturn that we had in California some 10 years ago, the market at the height of its decline heading downward, that California market dropped no more than 3% per month. Now over a year that's 36%, and that's a pretty hefty drop, but that was a volatile market. My point being that 3% per month is enough to say, hey, something's happening here. I need to make a move. I need to get out. Real estate gives you that opportunity to get out. Now, I typically don't recommend investing in the volatile markets, but we watch the volatile markets to see what's happening in California, Arizona, Nevada, Florida, to get ahead of the market. We stay in the more boring markets, and it's easier for us to predict long-term cash flow, build up our wealth and equity in those markets than it is in the volatile markets. But real estate gives you those opportunities. And if you're positioned always with a network and you've got access to capital, liquidity, it's easy to go back in those markets when the markets turn down. When the markets are going up, it's a good time to ride the markets and then adjust your assets accordingly. When some assets have gone up high enough, maybe it's time to take some chips off the table, as we say it. Take some chips off the table and reallocate a little bit. That's what good investors do. They never stay static, but they use the network, and their network in the marketplace to not only gain understanding of what the market's doing, but also to have access to the deals, whether the market's going up or the market's going down. Relationship capital is your key. I promise you, trying to do everything yourself is very difficult at best if you're not a professional in that market. But having connections to the people that know what they're doing, finding and building those relationships is the key to everything I've done in my life. You should think about the same thing as you're trying to build your freedom plan. Know who you need to know is one of the keys for you. That's it for today. Remember, always stay freedom focused. I'll see you next time.